Good evening, folks. This is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, January 12th, 9:53 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. You're looking at the GFS model running through for the next few weeks. Cold blast after cold blast of negative 20 degree temperatures will be moving across the country. Let's run it through. Here we are today, and we can see the front that's about to then drop this extra cold air all the way south into Florida, followed by a second blast, then a little respite, and then another sub-zero Arctic blast, and another on the 25th, and so on and so forth. There is a pattern developing here, and it's called the Grand Solar Minimum pattern, and that's what it looks like right there. Subarctic temperatures extending all the way south into central Mexico on a regular basis. These sub-freezing temperatures will be penetrating in the near future on a regular basis into Florida. Now, the natives in Florida, there are many legends about the cleansing white rain, and it happens in regular intervals. Every 100 years, according to the natives. And these are 100-year or 60-year oscillations of the Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation, causing these dips in temperature, and we're going into an AMO, a negative AMO, plus the grand solar minimum, plus solar activity is waning, plus, and we're coming right back into one of these holes. A hole unlike anything on this chart. This is just the centennial minimum. This isn't even the Dalton minimum, which is down here. We're going into the Eddy minimum, which will eclipse all minimums back to the Monger minimum. And that's the pattern that gets repeated, and worse. Step it through. There it is again. That's what the 22nd looks like. We're going to repeat the same pattern. Now, guys, the watchers reach out to us, and we might be collaborating in the future. If you don't know about them, I'm going to leave you links. I'm sure almost all of our watchers know about the watchers, and there they are. So we haven't figured out what we're going to be doing, but that's awesome that they reached out to us. They know we like what they do, and they like what we do. And so it's only in the best interest of the community to share information. Major ice jam, flooding, snow, and ice as Arctic front moves towards the eastern U.S. We reported on this yesterday. They named the storm. It should be called Holy Hell. When you look at the report here coming out of the watchers, a sharp Arctic frontal boundary continues moving east towards the eastern U.S. into the weekend, impacting travel. Significant freezing rain, accumulating snow, gusty winds producing wind chills on the backside of the front can be expected. Ice jams have already been reported from Ohio to Pennsylvania, as well as severe traffic problems. Ahead of the front, heavy rain and warm temperatures cause flooding, while portions of the New England heavy rain, snowmelt, ice jams will produce rapid river rises, the National Weather Service said. And this is just beginning. This ice storm extends all the way down to the Gulf. It's going to be moving east over the next 24 hours, wreaking havoc. This is going to affect tens of millions of people. And as the front moves east, so do the accidents. This is coming from the Tennessee Highway Patrol, turning ice to snow, causing severe traffic problems from Indiana to Tennessee. Troopers are working on multiple vehicle crash on I-40 and the 120. She's got a lot to say. We don't have time for Brittany Boyer. But major flooding damage already reported in Pennsylvania today as massive chunks of ice came from the Allegheny River in East Brady, north of Pittsburgh, totally destroying the entire town. I used to live in a river town. Chunks of ice are not good. They crack and destroy everything. Look at that. Grand solar minimum much? And that's a boom. Blowing snow, bitter cold, causing school delays. A day after winter storm brought rain and ice and snow to Iowa, blowing snow and bitter cold temperatures remain. We just showed you the forecast. Oh, and that is not it. We'll come back to it. It's actually down here. We can go right down to the Jiffy. Thanks to the watchers. Makes it easy to watch things. And there's that Arctic blast hitting Iowa. Let's pause it. There it is. Man, that is minus 20. There she is. That's the 16th. That's just 4 days from now. Iowa's not going to come out of this anytime soon. That's a heads up, Iowa. Now, Ron Burgundy has a lot to say. Things escalated quickly. Cold front roars through with hail, leaving gusty winds. This is in Texas, which is why they're using him. Katy gets hail as temperatures drop in greater Houston. Quickly. Wind chills make it feel like the 20s, and hail makes it feel like it's hailing. Totally. Record cold wave wreaking havoc in South Korea. A snowplow clearing snow on the runway in Jeonju. Seoul Korea Herald is reporting that extreme cold is gripping South Korea yesterday with wind chills of minus 16 C. It's forecast to reach its peak on Friday, according to the country's weather agency, which is now. Thursday, temperatures across the country hovered around minus 10 in general, marking the coldest temperatures yet this year. There might be something to this grand solar minimum. Florida squash supplies look thin. This was sent to me by a friend of ours. Supplies of squash coming out of the Florida region are looking slim right now. Squash is rather tight after the cold snap that we had a week ago, says which there are 3 more cold snaps coming in the coming weeks, sir. Do you not look at the GFS? Supplies are 40% less than that's across both green and yellow. Now, well, supplies were already a little slim after Hurricane Irma. The weather isn't helping. I think squash will continue to be tight for a few weeks, and then new plantings will come right during the cold fronts that are coming. Cullen, you idiot. And that is a boom to idiots that do not even look at the forecast. First earthquake swarm under dormant Tenorio National Park closed in Costa Rica. This is a big volcano, and legends have it that during the Dalton minimum, this thing went. More than 40 earthquakes have been registered under dormant Tenorio volcano in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, after major earthquakes in the Caribbean Sea on January 10th. Now, this was kicked off by the 7+ magnitude, 7.6, 7.8. Thank you, Adapt. He just popped up on our screen during the video. That's pretty cool. So here's where the 7.6 was centered, and here's where Tenorio is super double boom back at you, Adapt. Here's where Tenorio is awakening. And that's a heads up to all my Costa Rican people going there for the grand solar minimum. It's not looking really safe. Hypocenters of the earthquakes have depths between 2 and 15, and their epicenter location is in the vicinity of Cañón Negro and Chiquero Faults, located in the surrounding of Tenorio volcano. Additionally, 5 earthquakes have occurred in the area of Miravalos volcano with magnitudes between 2.8 and 4.0, which is not insignificant, but for that area is pretty standard. But it is in association with a large volcano that has, legends have it, erupted. And this is a massive eruption. This is a VEI 6 hole or something in that magnitude. But there's really no information till 1864, when a visit of Seebach is not considered to have erupted in historic time. Major debris and avalanche covered a large southern flank of the volcano, and legends exist of an eruption in 1816, which puts it squarely in the center of the Dalton minimum. That's a heads up. There's a lot more volcanic activity as cosmic rays increase across the globe. Sinabung is erupting today, and we're going to get to that. But we should talk about Kadovar, where significant sulfur dioxide ashfall over the entire island is occurring. Big amounts of ash. There's now significant sulfur dioxide gas observed in and around the island. That means there are massive amounts of magma directly below the island. The gas has contaminated the western part of the nearby island, Erupts, where Kadovar residents are now taking shelter. Everyone should move far away from this. This volcano is about to blow. I'm going to predict this is the temperature dropper, and we are going to have a year without a summer in 2018. Earlier this week, RVO said it believes the eruption could become explosive, posing a risk of landslides and tsunamis. So that puts all the people in this area at risk for a massive tsunami, because if this island calves, that's the displacement locally. And we're talking tens of meters high of a tsunami, which would decimate all of the islands in that area. Look at the amount of pumice and ash on the island currently. This thing is very, very active, and it does not look good. So if you're in this area, I would suggest that you get out of this area as fast as possible, because a large phreatic eruption, explosive, this is a tiny island, so any explosive activity will destroy the entire island, sending it straight down into the ocean here, pushing massive tsunamis quickly to the adjacent islands. There won't be any warning time. This baby is preparing to do something big. Now, everyone's gotten off that island, but they're not far away, so heads up to the local authorities. I hope they get them further away. Mount Sinabung erupts today. Volcano spews molten lava and ash over Indonesia, the Ring of Fire. We'll learn about breast cancer later. The enormous volcano is dormant for centuries before roaring back to life in 2010, and has since remained highly active. While today's eruption is the first of 2018, the volcano actually erupted just a fortnight ago, spewing huge plumes of smoke into the skies above Indonesia. Locals watched the skies turn gray when the suffocating volcanic ash billowed out, but fortunately the eruption did not cause casualties. They have a large zone of exclusion around there. Residents who live near the rivers upstream from Sinabung must be watchful for lava. For the first time this year, lava has been spotted dribbling down the side of the volcano, prompting concerns for locals nearby. That's a heads up. If we come over to volcano discovery and look at the last 24 hours, it's epic. Kadovar has a volcanic ash advisory. Shivalush, Dukono, Reventador. And we can continue on. Stromboli is active. Fuego. Sakajorima, volcanic ash advisory exploded. We know about Kadovar. And there's the Sinabung eruption in Jakarta. So if you want to know about any aviation warnings or erupting volcanoes, there'll be links to the volcano discovery page. Let's quick talk about Rattlesnake Ridge. All residents in the high-risk area have been evacuated. Look at the scarp forming. This thing is moving quickly. This idiot was out there today, but he's not that dumb because he stayed on the uphill side of the slide. This is a developing geologic phenomena that we're going to witness, and there's a live stream, so if it goes at night, we won't see it. But a local geologist friend of mine said that all they needed to do was spend a little money and put some inclinometers on this hill, and they would know exactly when it's moving. But they don't have that there. We do have footage that's unavailable to the public because we're awesome of the actual crack in the last 48 hours. Look at the size of that. It is calving off. Here's the possible slide plane at the base of the quarry, which is why they stopped there. It's hard rock below. More unconsolidated sediment of bedrock above. This is geochemically altered bedrock above it, which is why this could slide catastrophically here. We looked at the western flank through a different snow-covered picture I showed a few days ago. But what's hilarious is that in this article, I want to point this out, in the bottom here, it says one possibility as to what's behind the landslide at Rattlesnake Ridge is the quarry at the base of the hill. That's one possibility. Now notice the crack here, which goes right here on the western wall of the quarry. This is the failure point here. This is where they're digging into the toe of the hill. And it says one possibility as to what's behind the landslide. Geologists say it could undermine the toe of the slope. Folks, they're covering their asses. This is absolutely undermine the toe of the slope. First of all, the angle of repose in this road cut is above 23. Google angle of repose. This is too steep. So there needs to be engineering involved in making something this steep. And it does not involve putting a giant hole in the side. So that quarry is 100% responsible for this crack in the earth. And I'm sure they're going to get sued. But let's do a flyby. Because the video parsed. There's the crack in the earth. There's the slide. It's moving over a foot a day, I believe, at this point. And these big fissures are opening. These are stress fractures showing the rotational energy of this slab. And if it does get momentum, it will go. A couple other things I want to cover. It's taking a long time. We got some good footage of Field Tech Dave, who was just in that video, sitting above the crack in the earth. This is today. He's on the smart side of that fault, if there is such a thing. Guys, I need you to come over to the Radical Gardener and get her at 1,000 subscribers tonight. She just posted a video called Ignore the Fearmongers, and you need to watch this. You need to watch the video because it has pertinent information. A lot of our people know about chemtrails. I mean, I've known about geoengineering since the 90s. We were told about it. We studied it at the university. And it is occurring. But fearmongers like Dane Wigington and others are mostly publishing complete nonsense. So if you want to know the truth, I'm going to point out a few things for you tonight. The first thing you need to do is come over to watch her video, Ignore the Fearmongers, where she gives you very practical information. And I've left some links down here for you to click on. You can see Elana Freeland is clueless and some fake images that Dane has used in the past by using Photoshop, which is absolute nonsense, because if you want to tell the public about something that's happening using science or facts, you do not use Photoshop. So let's get her up to 1,000 so she can be a YouTube partner and join the clan tonight. I would really appreciate if you get the Radical Gardener to 1,000 subs by tomorrow night. That would be awesome. Now let's talk about the frauds. If you want to know about Dane Whittington or Wigington, he was actually at my farmer's market, Wigington and his cronies, with a geoengineering watch stand. Now his background is in solar energy, solar panels. Not in academia, not in science. He used to work for a solar panel company. And he was a contractor and knows how to install solar panels. So that's his background. I'm going to erase him on that premise alone. Now here's another one of his big things. I watched a video here. The formation on ice balls in lakes, according to Dane Wigington, is because of chemical ice nucleation, because of geoengineering. There is no such thing as chemical ice nucleation. Crystal and ice nucleation happens spontaneously within the medium. Now, these balls were documented as early as 1925 scientifically in a manuscript that he could have quickly researched 5 seconds and found. It's over here. We'll talk about her in a second. So the manuscript is coming from his air photo interpretations of Great Lakes ice features, published back in 1966, of the very same balls that he claims is from chemical nonsense from nonsense. So that's just one thing we can point out, that this idiot is fear-mongering to scare you to death. He says we're at the point of no return. If we were at the point of no return, why would he be warning you? Now, Dane Whittington makes he mistakes contrails for chemtrails constantly. And what he also does is he photoshops. So if you come over to this guy's page, Geoengineering Watch Debunked, and subscribe there, I'll leave you links. You can watch all his videos. And then if you just Google it, you can find hundreds of other sources where they show Dane Wigington photoshopping fake chemtrails over regular photos. Why would you do that if you were warning the public about something that you were actually documenting? Why? I'll tell you, because you're a fraud. And we're not here to perpetuate frauds. We're scientists. Let's talk about Elana Freeland. She has his #1 sidekick. Here she is presenting at the Second Global Chemtrail Summit in Portland in May of last year, where she uses fear-mongering as part of her presentation. Now, what she goes on to show is this, what she claims is a plasma beam shooting plasma and making clouds and causing weather. Now, she is so full of shite. What she is showing is footage from an art installation. There is no ionization or plasma happening, which she claims, and there's no holography, a word she made up. The moving images were projected from a Cessna 172 airplane using a green laser. It was an art project by artist David Lynch, which was well known. So anyone that's even at that conference that doesn't do their homework, those people need to hear a popping noise. This woman is a fraud. She's a charlatan. And that's a heads up. And that's all I'll ever talk about, those two frauds. Here's a report. 485 scientific papers published in 2017 undermine supposed consensus on climate change. That's because there's actually scientists like myself who know the difference. We're scientists who have been studying paleoclimates for years, and we know that climate is cyclic, provably cyclic. Here's the sunspot data and the historic record. And here's the modern, unadjusted surface temperature data with solar activity on top. Total solar irradiance to the right. And we're about to drop below 1368, folks, in the next decade. And it's called the NE minimum. Right here, we're at the bottom of 24. This goes lower and lower and lower in irradiance. See how already we're at an epic 0 point. It's going to extend for decades. I don't know what more you need to know. The patterns are clear. The frauds are clear. There's no need to fearmonger if we're going to try to report on the truth and what's happening with the world. Cosmic rays are increasing to levels unseen in modern history, which we now know causes muons in the subsurface to heat magma. That causes volcanic eruptions, catastrophic ones that cool the planet. This has been happening forever, and we have the data to prove it. All our predictions have come true thus far. So you can believe the hype, follow the truth movement. Guys, let's get the Radical Gardener up to 1,000 subs tonight. Check out our video and ignore the fearmongers. Be safe.